Hi, it's Robin. I have a brand new VIC-20 game here called Emu's Massive Hunt. It was developed by Huco and lovingly published on cassette by The Future Was 8-Bit. It's amazing that we can get new Commodore games on cassette here in 2024. There's the tape. Nice label. Let's get loading and then we'll look at the J card in more detail. Oh yeah, and as it says, VIC-20 plus 35K. VIC-20 normally just has 5K of RAM, and RAM expanders were common for it. So this requires a 35K RAM expander, which was nearly unthinkable back in 1981, but has become very common today. So I'll be using the Penultimate Plus 2 from The Future Was 8-Bit, and there are other ones available, but make sure it supports 35K, not just 16, 24, 32 even. Okay, so just power down here, plug it in, power up. Now, I've made a few videos about the Penultimate Plus 2 before, so we won't go into that. Check those videos if you're interested. This does a lot more than just RAM expansion. But to boot to 35K mode, we can just press F5. Yellow menu options down at the bottom, F5, 35K. Okay, and then to boot the game, just press Shift Stop, which is the auto run from cassette feature. It automatically puts load in, press play on tape. Searching. And while that's loading, let's look more at this J card. Artwork. Emu's Massive Hunt. It's got a little summary of the story here, some instructions, some keyboard shortcuts. Found EMH, Emu's Massive Hunt, loading. And created by Huco, produced and distributed by The Future Was 8-Bit. Loading instructions. And it even includes a nice little map of the pink windmill. That's what you'll be exploring in this game. Oh no! Load error. Bah. Load error. Oh, I'm going to rewind now. I don't think it's actually the tape's fault. It's because I have the data set and the VIC-20 squeezed in together so tight. So I'm just going to slide the VIC-20 away from the tape deck a bit. Yeah, let's try that again. Load and play. Loading from tape is often fraught with peril. Okay, here we go again. Found EMH, loading. I've actually loaded this tape successfully many times, but I was hoping that it would work with the tape deck squeezed right up against the VIC-20. But it is not to be. Ideally, you put the tape deck even further away from the VIC-20. But with this camera set up, I've got things squished together abnormally close. Yeah, there we go. That was my first try since moving it. Okay, here we go. Emu's Massive Hunt, copyright 2024, Huco. The Future Was 8-Bit. VIC-20 with plus 35K RAM expansion, that's 40K total, is required to play. No emus were harmed during the making of this game. On instructions, yes. Story, grot bags added again. Olive Rod's future was 8-bit orders are strewn across the windmill, and worse still, Rod himself is missing. I should practice reading that. Eh? Collect all the games, cartridges, and other goodies and free Rod so the orders can be sent out to all the nice boys and girls. Objective, before you can get to Rod, you must collect enough jelly to open the jelly door. Duh. You will also find useful items in the windmill that will help you on your way. Keys will open doors of the same color, and the snorkel is great for swimming. Press the any key. Controls, a joystick is required to control Emu. Fire to jump and diagonals to dash. Can change controls where up is jump and fire is dash. Dashing into baddies can sometimes help. Good luck, Emu. Press the any key. Okay, and let's continue loading. So it does take a few minutes to load, but not really all that long. It has a turbo tape mode, which loads much faster than Commodore's regular protocol. Still, I'll skip ahead to once it's loaded. Oh, here we go. Okay, so that was really only a couple minutes. I'll stop the cassette. Hugo Presents with the Future Was 8-Bit. I'm going to move the VIC-20 back in. That really was just my first try. Wait, there's Emu. Look, he's an apostrophe. Now he's running down here. And press fire the backwards P. I think that's a little tribute to Space Invaders and probably some other games. Nice little attract mode here. Rod's Future Was 8-Bit orders have gone missing. Grot bags. Find the tapes, discs, carts, and joysticks to save the day. Collect useful items to aid you on your quest. There they are. The Snorkel, boots, pickaxe, keys, hearts, and jelly. I have not got the boots or pickaxe yet. Oh, spoiler. There's the credits. Code, design, and graphics, Andy Hewitt. I've enjoyed talking to him about the development of this game, which we will look at a little bit in a while. Muzak by Mintz. Dungeons by Ross Hewitt. Sounds like a relative. Greets to the TRSE bunch. And that's Turbo Rascal that this was written in. Kind of a Pascal cross-assembler, and we will look at that a little bit after we're done playing the game for a while. And the Denial crew there. Okay, there we go. See? He's a apostrophe. Okay, we'll try the game here. Here's the main menu. I've been playing, there's normal difficulty, full metal emu, and casual emu. I've been playing casual, I admit it. It's a tough game. Fire to jump is the normal control, but you can change it to push up to jump, and then fire dashes instead. But I've been playing mostly with fire to jump. Visual intensity, you can change that to low. It only matters a few times in the game, slightly less effects on the screen. Start adventure. Now, it's the beginning of a fantastic story. Let's make a journey to the Pink Windmill. Good luck. So I kind of think that feels like a bit of a tribute to Bubble Bobble, maybe. Okay, so here's the game. It's a platform adventure, and really this is one of the most fun games I played on the VIC-20. So the Pink Windmill, that's the entrance to it. And in classic Jet Set Willy style, every screen, it's like a flip screen game, has its own title. So this is the grand entrance, not a mega tree. And I love these games where you can wander around outside, like if there's a castle or whatever, but they let you experience a bit of the world around it too. Okay, and the movement is extremely smooth for the VIC-20, which doesn't have any sprites. No hardware sprites, obviously. Software sprites are sort of a made-up thing. Okay, and the world does wrap around. I think there's 64 screens. Okay, so I'll probably just cut ahead whenever I have something interesting to say. I'm going to play maybe the first 10 minutes of the game. I'm just guessing there. And I might just skip ahead once in a while if I don't have anything to say or whatever. Okay, so there's objects to move around, like these stones. And there are these white pickups here. So those are all the discs and other Future Was 8-Bit. Now that green thing to my right, there's a bunch of leaves around. That green thing to the right is one of these jellies that you need to pick up. So there's the jelly count, okay, and there's the number of objects where it has a star down the bottom left. That's the number of objects pick up. I think there's 255. And there is some color clash, but that's just kind of unavoidable with the VIC-20. It's still amazing how nice and smooth these simulated sprites are. And this game does have all kinds of little, like, you're free to roam, but you have to find items and kind of explore. So I'll just show you a bit of the game. I guess this is a bit of a spoiler, but I'm hardly going to be showing you the whole game. Ooh. Okay, back to the castle here. Now, this is what might be called a Metroidvania kind of game. Which that name, well, it's a more relatively recent thing, but it's based on some of the early Nintendo NES games, Metroid and Castlevania. And they are platform adventures like this where you're fairly free to roam through quite a big world, but your access to certain areas is restricted due to things like keys or different power-ups, like the ability to jump higher or whatever. So in this case, for example, you can't go into water areas until you've found the Snorkel. And I think there is like a double jump and some other things. Ooh. Oh yeah, so you can jump. And if you push either diagonal up, then he dashes. And Emu also will jump further in that case, if he's dashing at the same time. Down here. See, there's a jelly, but it's behind a red door, and we don't have that key yet. So if I'm making this look easy, at first this game is super tough, but it really rewards practice. I just become a lot more competent at it. That would be a funny moment for me to die. Oh yeah, and on this easy level here, that is, I've got 10 hearts, 10 lives in the bottom right corner. There, I just picked up another heart. Oh, there. So yeah, like I was saying, this game does reward keeping at learning, repeated plays, and your skills just do get gradually better. You stick with it. There's all kinds of little secret items to pick up. Oh yeah, they say there's 255 of those little pickups to get, all hidden around. So I'm up to 28 now. You gotta be patient in these kind of games, just waiting for the enemies to learn their patterns. So they're hard to pick up. What I should say about that Metroidvania genre of games, certainly Metroid and Castlevania on the NES popularized this type of gameplay, but it certainly didn't originate there. The excellent... oh yeah, those pipes. You travel through... Easy. Do that again. So when you go through these pipes, it just automatically follows the path. But yeah, there's a C64, well actually, I think it's an Apple II and a C64 game. Those red spikes kill you, by the way. called Below the Root, and also one called Alice in Wonderland by Windmill Classics, which I think were both in 1984. I wasn't paying good attention there. I think from 1984, and I think they predate this, but they have similar kind of gameplay. Actually, they have even more complicated gameplay because it has role-playing game elements too. That Below the Root, what an amazing game. So basically, I think I'll play enough of the game to show you how to get the first key and the hard for me to play and talk at the same time. So to get the key and the snorkel, those red things kill you as well. Oh, like that. All right, there's another heart behind a blue door, but we don't have any keys yet. But we're getting pretty close to a key. Okay, so here's like kind of a secret. This brick wall. You can actually walk through it. Okay, these guys can be tough. Now that dash, most of the time you can't actually... Oh. There. So if you dash into an eyeball, you can destroy it. But most enemies you will bounce off of. Let's see if we can get this timed right. There we go. Got that one. There. Okay. Yeah, that was actually pretty hard to learn too. Okay, push that guy out of the way so we don't hit those red spiky things. There we go! The red key. A key location. Wait, earlier in the game, that platform below where Emu is right now, you can get there a lot earlier in the game and see that the key is there. So it's got that nice kind of foreshadowing element. Okay, let's try and get the snorkel. There we go. So there's the red door. Let's hope I can do this right. There we go. That took me a long time to figure out too. As long as you just hold, jump, and dash together, then you will usually make it across. If you don't just keep holding them, you will fall very frustratingly. Oh, there. Okay, I ran into the wall. Oh yeah, and just so you can see how we can revisit areas. Now that I have that snorkel, I'm going to go all the way back here. Okay, and now that I got the snorkel, see, it would have been instant death otherwise, but now you can go in the water. So the music changes when you go in the water. There, now we can reach that area. There, I bounced off of an enemy. Most enemies I don't think you can kill with that dash, but that's actually a way of protecting yourself too. If you dash at the last moment, you can often prevent death. Oops. Okay, just so you get a little taste of the underwater area. Those guys are actually really hard. There. So you can see there's quite a few items you just can't get at first, and based on what I've heard, there's, you know, the extra dash. I think you can jump twice if you get another pickup. Let's go down here. Let's go get that heart. Ooh, here we go. We can go underwater. Just so you get an idea. I think those can be removed as whatever those are. There's some sort of obstacle, and I think there's a way of getting through those. Oops. Well, so here we can go underwater here. Ooh. Yeah, you see the effect actually changes. And this is what it's like underwater. It's the spookiest level. The music deliberately gets sort of glitchy. And this is where that effect, if you press 2, it turns off that flickery effect. Okay, and you press 2 to re-enable it. Oh yeah, and 1 toggles the joystick controls if you did want to try the other option. Oh. Well, it's kind of nice how you're invulnerable for a little while after you die. Just a nice little way of getting through a difficult section. Okay, so that's quite a bit of it. We've probably only seen about a quarter of the game. I'm not positive, but based on my item count there at 59, and we have to get 255, plus all those jellies, and then there's various keys, and so on. Lots to it. Very fun game. I have totally enjoyed playing it. I've had many long sessions to get this good, and I want to keep playing. Pretty neat to actually beat it. Okay, so as I was saying, this is written in Turbo Rascal. Turbo Rascal. So that is a cross-development platform. We're going to do the rare thing of going over to my newfangled modern computer, and we'll look at a couple little code examples that the programmer of this game, Andy Hewitt, has made, demonstrating how he's actually created this software sprite library and has made some examples. So we'll go look at that now, and then we'll come back to the VIC-20, and I've heard that there's a little Easter egg on this game, so we'll see if we can get that to work as well. Okay, now that you've seen the game, I'm sure at least some of you will be interested in a bit of information on how it was developed. If not, jump ahead to the Easter egg chapter to see what's hidden on the rest of the tape. So, Emu's Massive Hunt was developed in a language called Turbo Rascal syntax error, semicolon expected, but begin version, and I've got here version, what is it, 0.17.173. So that's quite the name. It's called Turbo Rascal, or is it Turbo Rascal, or TRSE for short. It's a cross-compiler available for Windows, Mac, and Linux. It includes an IDE that you see here, and I'm using the Mac version. So there'll be links in the video description to everything I talk about in this bit. Just to keep your expectations realistic, I'm no expert at this, and even if I was, this topic could be a whole series of videos. So I'm mainly just making you aware of these tools, that they're available, and you're free to explore them if this gets you interested. Also, if you're viewing this on a small screen, you likely won't be able to read some of this very clearly. Sorry. That's one of the reasons I rarely cover things that need more than 40 columns or 320 pixels. Okay, so if we look at the About page there, you can see this is developed by Nicholas E. Groenboom, also known as is it Louiat, Proxima, and Offense. And he's the lead developer and benevolent dictator. And also Andy Hewitt of Huco, who developed this Emu game. And as you see, he's also a developer, the VIC-20 guru, and so on. There's a bunch of additional credits listed, and for the various libraries that are incorporated in this tool, like Exomizer, disk loaders, all kinds of stuff. This brings together a lot of different tools into one package. Okay, so a cross-platform compiler means that you do the programming on one system, usually a more modern or powerful system, and then you target another platform. So rather than coding directly on the VIC-20, you code on your modern Windows, Mac, Linux machine, and when you compile, it creates VIC-20 ready code. And this tool actually supports a whole bunch of different platforms. I think the VIC-20 support is probably the most mature, but also I think the C64 support is very good. You can see all the platforms: Commodore 128, PET, Atari 2600, Mega 65, the BBC, the NES, Super NES, Game Boy, Amstrad, even the Spectrum, and many more. I won't name them all. Hey, there's the Phoenix. And the Coco, MSX, Amiga, lots of good stuff there. Well, yeah, with all those effects at the top of the IDE, you can see that this, obviously the creator here is inspired by the demo scene. Okay, so in addition to the main Turbo Rascal program, Emu's Hunt also uses a library Andy wrote called LBM8, which stands for Local Bitmap Mode 8, and it simulates 8x8 pixel sprites. The VIC-20 doesn't actually have hardware sprites, but they can be simulated to some degree by reprogramming the character set. Okay, so Andy has created 3 tutorials, and we'll take a quick look at the first one. And he's even created a PDF, an instruction file, that I really recommend you look at and give a try yourself. So here in the IDE, we've got the tutorial 1. Okay, so before we look at the code a little bit, just down here we can click Run, and it automatically builds it, and then it launches VIC, the emulator that I have on this Mac. And you can see there's Emu running along a little level, and this is the LBM8 example for tutorial 1. And you don't actually control Emu in this one. It's just showing how to use the library and just make him automatically walk across the screen. I'll close that. Do you want to exit VIC? Because that's a little bug with VIC. Turbo Rascal or Turbo Rascal, you may have guessed it's inspired by Turbo Pascal, which is an environment I really enjoyed using on my 386 computer way back when I was in university. Pascal was the first new language we were taught in computer science. If you're not familiar with it, it's sort of like C meets BASIC. It's got a lot more of C's structure and a little bit more of BASIC's friendliness. So just to look through the code, there's a whole bunch of, I want to call them directives or something, VIC memory config. If you don't know what anything does, just press F1 on the keyboard and up pops this help screen. And it tells you here that VIC memory config set the memory configuration requirements for the VIC-20 emulator, the emulator. Is that an emu joke? Okay, so that help is very handy. And here's a bunch of ignore methods. It says comment out if you're using multiplication or division to save space. And so this just removes built-in, I don't know if we call them libraries, but machine language routines that do things like multiply if you don't need them. And here's where some libraries are included with the use directive. One for drawing to the screen, this cart compression. Not sure why it says cart if they were originally used for cartridge games, but they are general purpose compression routines that are used to display that screen, and of course the LBM8 library itself. Some settings. So as part of the build, it exports this character FLF file into a binary file. And if we look up here in the project, CHR, there is that character FLF file. If we double click on that, it brings up a character editor. And here you can see the characters used in the game, or actually used in the demo, number of characters. And these red ones are reserved. Now that's because the emu sprite, I'm saying that in air quotes, the emu character gets rendered into these characters to simulate the sprite. These are used as a little virtual bitmap, and it handles 8x8 pixel characters. Sometimes that only needs one character, but it can require up to 4, because when you adjust the position within the characters, it might overlap up to 4 different characters. Actually, we can look at the sprites here to get an idea of how that's true. Here's the actual emu sprite. And there's the emu moving in the opposite direction. I guess from right to left. Okay, but if emu is 8 pixels wide, then when he walks to the right, then he's kind of overflowing into a second character. And likewise, if he jumps up or down, then his head pokes up into another character up above. So, and of course, if the emu is up in this area of the first character, then he's overflowing into the 2 characters above and 1 to the right. Hope that makes sense. So that's exporting the character set, and then there's also exporting the level. So Turbo Rascal also has this level editor, and you can see that this was created just for this example. The various characters are basically like tiles, and the levels laid out here. Quite a few tools here. I won't get into all that. Okay, and also the emu sprite data gets exported. So in each of these cases, they're taking an FLF file, which is the file in the editor format, and exporting it to a raw binary that the VIC-20 can use. Next, we have a variable section. This is how Pascal defines variables. X position and the Y position are bytes. And then there's a counter variable I, that's also a byte. Then you can also define characters you might consider pointers. Can't remember if that's the Pascal word for it, but there's a character set, and that binary character set is included. This is the include bin command. And then we're including the character set binary, and here create a lookup table. So there's a lookup table. Again, you tell it the variable name, and what it is, it's an integer array with 8 elements. As the comment says, this creates a lookup table where each pre-shifted sprite frame can be found. And that's called EmuR. That's what helps this simulated sprite library run so fast that creates a lookup table for the sprite frames. And then the screen is loaded, compressed into memory. And again, a variable name is assigned to that, screen1. So it's compressed. It isn't actually in video memory yet. And later it'll be displayed. Okay, so here's the main program. And there's begin. Okay, define screen. Let's see what help says about that. Initializes the screen memory 0 page pointer for use in TRSE. Some commands such as move to and tile will automatically initialize this pointer. Oh yeah, I didn't mention there's a view ASM button here. And you can actually view the assembly that's created when you compile. So it's turned into assembly language, and then that is then assembled into the final binary. Just thought I'd mention that. Okay, so define screen just initializes some variables that then this clear screen command can use, clears the screen in color RAM. And now we've got that compressed level screen in memory. And this is where we call that CRT compression decompress. And it takes the screen that's in variable screen 1 and decompresses it to RAM at that location. Okay, and now that the screen has been changed, we need to tell the LBM8 library to reset. Then setting the screen character address, saying the screen and border colors, then initializing the position of the sprite, while the variables that hold the position of the sprite, for an X position of 12 and a Y position of 1, initializing that counter. So all the variables are set. And now here's the main game loop. While true, do, this is kind of like an infinite loop, begin. And then this call is made to LBM8, restore the background characters beneath each sprite. This is so we can move and draw in a new location on the screen. Then we increment variable I when we do a bitwise and with 3. If it equals 0, then we increment the X position. So that's every 4th frame. If I is being constantly incremented and you do a logical end of 3, every 4th number is equal to 0 and we increment the X position. And we check if the X position has gone past the right edge of the screen, then we go back to 0. That's what makes EMU just wrap around. Just 2 more lines here. Now draw our EMU sprite. 60 is the character in the custom character set we reserve for the sprite. That's up here. That's character 60, 61, 2, and 3. You have to tell the library to draw into characters 60 or more, up to 3 extra. As we discussed, as the EMU moves across the screen, it may need 2 or up to even 4 characters at once, and draw it at X position and Y position. And that's that sprite lookup table that we loaded earlier. So that's all it takes. Once it's all set up, you can do a complicated sprite draw with just a single line. And then we just wait for raster line 110, just waiting for V blank, basically. And then the loop starts over again, and then it restores the background, moves, and draws. Just that's an endless loop. And just to see that one more time, if we run that. There he goes. The I is getting incremented 60 times a second on NTSC, 50 on PAL, and every 4th frame he moves. Okay, so that's the first tutorial. Again, I'm no expert at this. I'm just trying to learn this like you. We won't go through the second tutorial, but I will run it. And the difference here, well, besides the color, is that internally it's using fixed point math so that there's fractional movement. And that's a technique that's used, well, maybe the first time some of us saw it was Super Mario Brothers on the NES, but of course it's existed before that. But the way that EMU can jump so smoothly is because of using fixed point math. It's a way of introducing fractions with integer math. Okay, and the third tutorial takes all that and puts EMU under joystick control. So we will run that. There he is, and just standing still. There, and he can move. You see how he accelerates up to full speed. You slow down. And he kind of has momentum as well. Now, jumping and climbing aren't implemented in this little demo. Okay, so I think that's enough. If you're interested, I definitely recommend checking out Andy's tutorial and maybe even just Turbo Rascal for other projects. Okay, and obviously way more than this went into making this game, but that gives you an idea of just a small part. Okay, thanks very much to Nicholas, Andy, and the rest of the team for making this great tool, Turbo Rascal, that Andy has used to great effect in this game. Okay, enough of this 1080p stuff. Let's get back to the VIC-20. Okay, back to some real 8-bit stuff here. So I happen to know that this Easter egg requires an unexpanded VIC-20. So I could unplug the cartridge, but I can also just press F1 for a 0K expansion, basically disabling it. And let's try this again. Shift stop to trigger the run. And I've still got the tape at the same position it ended. So let's look at that. So here's the tape. You see there's a little bit left in there. Okay, pressing play. I actually got a hint that there was something else on this tape after. Now, this is actually true of a lot of commercial computer games that were released on tape. Oh, there we go. Found PWB unexpanded. Oh, there's my load error again. Okay, I move these two apart again. By the way, I have the tape, the data set angled up a little bit, only because this is so reflective that there's so much glare. Look at that. It's horrible. So I'm reducing the glare a bit. Oh yeah, found PWB unexp, meaning unexpanded. That's a nice little hint that even though you load the previous game with the 35K expander, do not load this second program with a RAM expander. Because it won't work, because that's how the VIC-20 is. It's quirky. Oh yeah, so what I was saying is lots of computer games released on cassette actually do have extra little things hidden after the main game on the tape, because there's this leftover space. And unlike a disc, there's no master index. And especially on Commodore computers, because the tape deck is completely silent, well, like, you know, you're not hearing the data, it's sometimes hard to know if there's anything else there. So I think they're kind of the most hidden on Commodore computers. Spectrum, Atari, most other tape systems, you would actually hear the tape, or at least you could hear the tape. You'd have a volume knob on the standard cassette deck player. But you don't really hear that so much on Commodore computers, typically. Yes, it worked. And actually, I think it worked the previous time, and I didn't know any better. Okay. Okay, so it does work. Thank you, Rod. Your cassette duplication is very well done. Okay, so this is the program, and actually, I've shown this before. This is called Windmill Blitz. This is also related to the pink windmill. So you press F1. There is the witch. What is it? Grot bags? And here's Emu again. And Emu drops great big eggs down on the vines or the weeds. Oh, maybe those are the same things that block passage in the game there. In Emu's Big Hunt. Okay, so it's a blitz style game. Oh. Ah. And your goal is to just clear away all these plants, whatever these are, so Emu can land safely. There we go. This is getting close. It's going to be close. Always best to take out the highest ones first. If you can get 2 shots in, per level, that's best. Oh, yeah. That was close. Yes. Meep. Okay, yeah, so this game was available. It actually is on the penultimate plus 2, but this is the first time it's being available in any other form, as far as I know. Okay, so thanks very much to Andy. Congratulations on the release of this game. It's excellent. And also your graphic library and just the whole Turbo Rascal community. And also thanks to Rod from the Future Was 8-Bit for still making these games available at a reasonable price. And for those of you who don't collect physical things, it is available for a free download. And I'll have links in the video description for both of those, to either buy it in physical format or just download for free. Okay, thanks very much to my patrons for their support. Thank you for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.